Hey y'all, this is Panther Dragon, aka Luigi Dragon, and today I want to be going over the new Khazix as of patch 4.9. I want to be going over what I think of him as a champion right now, how I view him, and basically my first impressions of what I think of him. So hopefully you guys get some insight from me, and let's go ahead and let's get started. Alright, so first off, I want to talk about the skill order. The skill order with Khazix is now I feel that the best thing to do is maxing out W. Now there's two positives coming out from this one. First off, faster clears because of the bonus damage to monsters. Second off, you do have more sustain, as every time you use Void Specs you get a certain amount of health back. This of course does hurt your ganks if you do miss the W, as that is your most damaging skill at the moment, so make sure to hit that skill. And then second off, you're going to max out Q. Even though it does still give 25 base damage per level, it's still going to be your number one tool for damage, as your leap is all utility. And now I think the biggest question that everyone wants answered is, what the hell do I evolve? Alright, so what I'm thinking is I get the Q evolution first. The reason I get the Q evolution first is because the evolution Q's damage is based on Khazix's level, so it's actually unaffected by how much points you put into Q. And this helps on doing camps faster, and of course those isolation scenarios where you can duel the other jungler or someone in a 1v1. It also helps pretty good on soloing Dragon by yourself, or in general isolated creeps. So I think that's really helpful, especially for solo gear. The secondary choice is of course getting R, but you're actually missing out on a lot of potential that Khazix can have with his evolved Q, as right now that is one of his core strengths is the isolation targets. And at level 11 you do get the leap evolution, it hasn't changed and it's still the most useful for team fights. And then at level 16, do you get the W evolution or do you get the R evolution? So the way I see it, W evolution is still useless. If you're planning on poking the enemy down to death, sure, it's fine. But 50% slow and grant vision of the enemy, it doesn't really give me an impression that I should get it. So I do go with R at level 16. Even though the damage reduction is gone, the utility is still there, as you do get 6 seconds of stealth plus increased movement speed, and I feel that's more useful than 50% slow plus granted vision. Alright, so next off is what kind of build do I go? You know, the tanky Khazix, Randuins, Banshees, etc. I think that's gone right now, just because he doesn't have high enough base damage to contribute for his tankiness. So what I see from here is now basically going full glass cannon. You know how the old Khazix used to work was where you get Tiamat and Brutalizers and Last Whisper, you know, going for that burst build where you jump in and out. I feel that's the only way to build him now. And yeah, full assassin, glass cannon, Khazix is the way to go. And I'd probably go something like Guardian Angel as my 6th item for the defensive item. Alright, so in teamfights, what do I kind of have the mindset of? So before with the tanky Khazix, he was kind of like, he jumps in and initiates the fight, but now you gotta be more careful and be an assassin. Pick people off, kill people, jump out, jump in, you know, like the old Khazix. But the difference with this Khazix is that I prioritize isolated targets over targets who aren't isolated. And why do I do that? Well, let's ask Panther Dragon. What do you think, Panther Dragon? Holy shit! Yo, look at this! Yo, look at my stream for a sec. Dennis, look how much the isolation damage does. It fucking does 700,000 damage. Oh wow, thank you for your answer, Panther Dragon. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't do 700,000 damage. It's still a shit ton though, so again, prioritize those isolated targets. Alright, so team fights between the old Khazix versus this new Khazix. He is probably X2 less efficient than the old Khazix because, well, all of his damage comes from isolated targets, and in a team fight, how the hell do you find isolated targets? Usually people are peeling for their team and nearby their allies, so how the hell would you ever find someone who's singled out? So team fighting with this Khazix is pretty shitty unless you can find isolated targets. That's why I feel he's more suited to split pushing and 1v1ing other enemies. Alright, so I want to wrap things up and finish up this video. First off, his early game. Either it got a buff or it's still the same. You know, more enemies are isolated, so that means he does more damage when 1v1ing someone or ganking someone who's isolated. And then when it comes to mid game, he is complete shit. Because again, in team fights, his damage is lacking if he cannot find an isolated target, so that can be bad. And his best bet is either to split push or of course to find a pick. And then as late game comes, people grouping up, Khazix's damage is falling a bit. It's not fun, so he does fall off late game. Conclusion in terms of viability, he's definitely viable, but not top 5 in my opinion, just because he kind of sucks at team fights. And all he's really good at is killing isolated targets. Hey, thank you for watching. I am Panther Dragon, aka Luigi Dragon. I hope you guys enjoyed this champion analysis of a new reworked champion. And if you guys enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and comment below telling me that you want to see another analysis of when another champion does get reworked or comes out. Again, this is my first impression of Khazix and what I think of him right now. My opinion of Khazix might change in the future if I do see something interesting that someone's doing with him. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.